All right, project that I've been wanting to do for a while. Wanted to put fog lamps on my truck. It did not come with them from the factory. It's a 2012 F-250 Power Stroke 4x4 XLT trim. My install, obviously I got the ranch hand bumper, not a factory one, and I used some of the 3-inch LED flood cube lights from Harbor Freight Tools. I wanted to try to do this project as OEM as possible. I ended up finding out that there was some existing wiring already on my truck for fog lights. So I'm going to talk about my install exactly, and I'll also talk a little bit about if you have factory bumper on your truck, or say you have an XLT trim and you don't have some of the parts that I already had, and stuff like that. So it will be informative to you if you don't have an XLT trim like mine. All right, so I'm going to talk about what my truck had before going any farther. I already had the auto lamp feature on my truck. So this is my old switch. I'll go over switching it out later, but that is the auto lamp. In order for the auto lamp to work, you need this sensor up here. If you have an XL or the XLT truck without the auto lamp feature, obviously these two parts that I just showed you, this one, the sensor is not going to exist, and your switch is just going to be a three-way switch that would stop right here. And the auto lamp part isn't there. That's when you're going to have to buy the entire kit from Ford, and I'll talk about that later. Because my truck had the auto lamp and stuff, also, and I'm not going to go dig it out, in my relay panel in there, the relay already existed for the fog lamps. It was already in there. It just wasn't used. I guess as part of the wiring from the factory, when you do that stuff, camera's a little blurry. They already do that. The other part that existed is under the front bumper here. If you look right in the center of this little cross member by the radiators, this is the new wire I'll talk about later, but this was already here with this plugged over it just to keep it clean and from getting damaged. I believe this will be on all the trucks, but it was on mine. So that's what made me dig in and find these parts I'm about to talk to you about. All right, so this is what I used to do this project. If you happen to stumble upon this video and you have an XL or an XLT that doesn't have the auto lamp and all that stuff that I just talked about earlier, the kit that Ford sells for XLs and XLTs for fog lamps is SKBCSJ-19B532-AA. I was actually able to find this part I'm about to talk about for my truck when I found the install guide for this part. I'm going to share a link to that in case you want to take a look at it. It might make a little bit more sense, some of this stuff, if you need to, in the description. But anyway, the part I used on my actual install is BC3Z-15A211-A. This is just the wire harness that goes from the pigtail end behind the bumper to the actual fog lights. I got this part shipped to my house for like $22 from FordParts.com. I got the free shipping because I ordered some other stuff that I needed a lot cheaper. The other option for this that I looked up, later I'm going to show you, this is a protective cover that came on the existing wires to protect the terminals. I looked up to try to just buy this part with 4 wires coming out of it. That part for Motorcraft was $38. That was more than buying this entire harness that was already wrapped in water loom. electrical tape with this plug. The other option I looked up too is Motorcraft makes terminal repair kits for almost all of their connectors, so you don't need to buy a whole new pigtail. Say on the male end of this you messed up one pin, you can buy kits for each one of these connectors, and I found them, they're between like $5 and $10, and you get a whole bunch. You know, it's mostly for dealers for cheaper repairs, but again, for 22 bucks to get everything done and it's going to be plug and play, I just went with this part. The other part I got was the actual switch. This is my old switch without the fog lamp. Looks exactly the same, except you can pull it out. I'll show you later. That part number is Motorcraft SW6637. I guess this is the Ford part number off of it. 9L3Z11654-CA. Then for my actual fog lights, I didn't want the OEM ones. I got these from Harbor Freight Tools, the 3-inch floodlight Road Shock LED. Pretty happy with them so far. I've had them on the truck for about a week. Really impressed with the quality. I got them for $20 a piece with a coupon. That's way better than any other price. And compared to other more expensive LED lights that are like this, I think that they did a pretty good job of, basically they probably get them all from the same place and then they just rebrand them. Then I don't have a picture or a part number for it, but off of a factory harness, whether you already have the factory fog lights and then you found this video because I was talking about the Road Shock LEDs, putting them on a vehicle, the Super Duty, you need to get an adapter that goes, and I'll show you later on in the video, that goes from the factory 2 pins that come off this harness to a plug that's like this. This is provided with each one of the lights from Harbor Freight. So if you were making custom wiring, this will plug into the end that comes off of the lights. And H10 is the type of connector that comes off of factory, and I think that's off most Ford vehicles, but I know for sure it's on the 11 to 16 Super Duty. H10 to, I don't even know how to pronounce this, but DEUTSC. That's DT connector. That's the type of adapter you need. H10 to whatever that is, DT. I found them between 10 and 15 bucks on eBay. I ended up going with the ones that were $15 because what it does is it takes a single H2 connector and then it gave me 2 of these. So if I wanted to, I could actually wire 2 on each side. Didn't do it right now, but I figured for a couple extra dollars, if I ever decide to in the future, I'm going to do it. That's what you're going to need. You could make your own harness again, but again, I wanted to just make it easy and plug and play. Yeah. And I will show you this adapter later in the video, but now I'm going to go underneath and show you where the existing wire was for me under the bumper of the truck, and this part number right here installed, this installed, the lights, oh yeah. So I've already installed the switch. You can see there's actually a little, this turns amber when it's on, and that shows you pull out. But changing this switch is super easy. I could actually probably do it one-handed if I needed to. You just yank on this enough. You don't even need one of the body tools. It pops out. This is your wire. Just like any other connector, press down right there. You'd pull it out, pops right out. And then if you look around, it's a little bit harder on this one because it's in, but there's a few tabs. Like right here, there are, I'll show you on this one, my old one that I have. There's 1, 2, 3. You squeeze all of them at the same time, and then the switch just pops out. You take the new switch, put it in, it pops in place. It can only fit one way. You can see there's also little like ribs on here. Plug the wire back in, pop it into place. All right, so this is pretty easy, self-explanatory to take off. You got a little tab right here. You pull the protective cover off. It's the same exact type. Click it in. What I'm talking about is, in my application, a little wire harness I bought. This will also be applicable if you bought the entire kit. So what I did with mine, and it shows you in the instructions, but obviously I don't have a factory bumper, so like I cut some of them off just to make it easier. But the little, I don't know what you call them, but the things that you just push in, I used this one to hold it up here. And then I went along the bottom of the radiator and there was little holes. I used zip ties, ran it up and over the frame, nice and secure. Had a lot of extra length, so that's why this is sort of zigzagging. Did this on both sides. Same thing along here, use the holes in the radiator. Came over to here, and I'm gonna disconnect these to show you this in more detail. I won't be able to do it holding my phone. I disconnected everything just to show you what it looks like, but this is the end that would be at the fog light off of the forward harness part. That would plug into a factory one. And then this is the end of the adapter pigtail for aftermarket LEDs that I got. And then this is disconnected from the Harbor Freight light. One I have taped because I got it for double in case I wanted to mount an extra set, because it was only $3-4 more to get this part. And then this is the end. What I needed to do, which was pretty easy, the adapter actually came to me, and I wish I recorded it at the time to show you. I really don't want to pull it apart since I already got it under my truck. And it came with instructions on how to do it with it when I ordered it. But you can use a screwdriver, and this green cover just pops off. And then inside, on each side of the wires, you can see the 2 pinholes. You can press and pull the wires out of the back of the switch. They're red and black. The reason why I needed to do that was the way that the company had put them in was reverse polarity for the LED lights on this end from them. So you just reverse it and you plugged it in and the lights turned on fine. That was actually probably the most complicated thing out of this entire install, was doing that. But it's pretty simple, and if you're willing to take this project on yourself, you probably worked on electronic stuff before, and it's really not that hard to do. Alright, so here it is at night. You can see the little pull out for fog light indicator. Pull out. You see the amber part. I don't know if you can hear the relay clicking too. And then the difference, the camera kind of records like crap, but it makes a huge difference going down the road. One thing that I'm disappointed on, I do some research, is when I go put my high beams on, it shuts the fog lights off. That's something that's common, and there's some fixes to it. I'll eventually figure it out. Here's what it looks like just pointing out into my yard. I set the fog lights up so they face more outboard. It's really hard to tell with all the light bleed on the camera, but so it won't really blind oncomers, and it makes quite a difference for being able to see. Yeah. Hopefully the video was helpful. A lot of this information was out there on forums and whatnot, and I just figured I would consolidate it all together in case somebody else is just looking for a quick video. on part numbers and stuff.